Hello guys, we're going to be looking at a video on how to do order of operations. This was formerly called PEMDAS, probably by your 6th grade teachers, but we're going to change the name a little bit. It's going to be called GEMS. The reasoning behind that is with PEMDAS, it makes it easier for you to get confused with multiplication and division and subtraction and addition. That way, and so for that reason we are changing it to now be GEMS. The first step in doing order of operations is any grouping symbols. Now that includes any parentheses or any brackets. The second step in GEMS is the exponents. Now exponents are any numbers that are up. For example, 2 to the 5th power. The 5 would be an exponent. So anything that's in like that superscript on top in smaller numbers, those are called exponents. And then multiplication or division are going to be shown by our signs. Now remember that for multiplication we can have the times sign. We can also have parentheses. For example, 3 times 2 can be shown like that. And then division, of course, can be shown by the division sign, or it could also be a fraction. For example, 1/4. That's the same thing as 1 divided by 4. And then to finish it off, subtraction is obviously by the minus sign, and addition by the plus sign. So let's go ahead and try some of these. Our first example, we have 14 plus 8 times 6 squared minus 4. So we're going to go ahead and write, anytime we do a problem like this, I want you to write, sorry, that's a bad G. I want you to write the word GEMS and cross off what we're doing as we go. So in this case, we're going to be doing our grouping first. So I'm going to go ahead and cross out grouping. There are no grouping symbols, that's why I'm going to go ahead and skip it. Now I'm going to go ahead and now go to, so I did grouping. I'm going to go and do exponents. So my exponents, there's only one. It's this 2 up here. So I can go ahead and do that. Now exponents, what exponents means, and I want you to write this down, for exponents, it's basically telling you to multiply by itself that many times. So in this case, if I was to focus on this, that 6 squared is basically telling me to do 6 times 6. So 6 times itself 2 times, and that's giving me 36. So I'm going to go ahead and show my next step. Whenever you do this, guys, you might have heard of this. It's called the pizza. The pizza is basically to show your steps. Everything is written. So my pizza, and I'm going to show you how it becomes a pizza in the end. But I basically I did this step, and everything else I copy and paste. Okay, let's do the next step in a different color. So we just did our E, so I can cross that off. Now I'm going to try and do my M. So I look to see if there's any multiplication. Now remember, guys, multiplication can be shown by the times, by the dot, by the star, or by parentheses. So like 2 and 3, that would be multiplication. Okay, so in this case we have one of those, 8 times 36. So that's going to give us 288. And again, I copy paste everything. Now I can do, so I just did my multiplication. If it had been division, I would also be doing that. There is no order. Anytime we have multiplication or division, we always go from left to right. So whatever shows up, if it's multiplication first, that's what I do. If it's division first, that's what I do. In this case, there is only multiplication. So now I can go ahead and do my last step, which is subtraction or addition. In this case, if I'm going from my left to right, I encounter an addition first. So that's what I'm going to do first. 14 plus 280, and that gives us 302. So I'm going to drop this step down. I got 302, and then minus 4. So I can now subtract, and so my final answer is going to be 298. And it doesn't fit here, but I'm going to try and fit it as best as possible. 298. And if I had done it correctly, as best as possible, at the very end it kind of forms a pizza because you're going from bigger to smaller. That's why it's called a pizza. So my final answer was 298. Okay, in the next example, we have something a little bit new. If you notice, we have some brackets. The reason I'm putting that there is because when we deal with brackets, all of a sudden, it's like the students forget what you were supposed to do. So remember, guys, brackets is just another grouping symbol. We can have brackets or we can have parentheses. So again, I'm going to write my gems so I can remember what my steps are. My grouping symbol is the first thing I'm going to try. I have two, so I'm going to start with the one that is the furthest in. So in this case, I have this grouping symbol, but then I also have these. So I'm going to start with these. That's what I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to basically forget about everything else. So I'm just going to look at this part right now. -2 minus 1. Now, within these parentheses, I am also going to try to do gems. So it's like doing a problem within a problem. In this problem, there's only subtraction, so that's what I'm going to do. -2 minus 1 gives me -3. And remember, everything else gets copied and pasted. So now, my next step is I'm going to do, there's another grouping symbol, so I'm not done with grouping yet. I have this grouping symbol. So in this grouping symbol, they're telling me in here to multiply. Remember, guys, when you see parentheses next to a number, there's an imaginary little dot right there. We don't write it, but it's there. So they're multiplying. So -3 times -1 is giving us a +3. Again, just copying and pasting everything. And now I'm going to do my next step. So I just finished my grouping symbols. Now I'm going to try exponents. In exponents, I find that there's only one. It's at 2. So 3 squared is basically telling me to do 3 times 3. So that's going to be 9. So I write 9. And so I'm done with my exponents. Now I would check off multiplication because there is none, so I can cross that off. Multiplication or division, and there's none, so I can go ahead. And then my last one is going to be to add or subtract. And in this case, there's only addition, so if I add 9 and 4, I get 13. And so I have my pizza, and I am done. So for practice, I want you to try these next two problems. Go ahead and put pause on the video, work them out, and then once you're ready to check your answer, go ahead and put play, and therefore you can check to see if you got it right or wrong. Okay, so here are the correct answers. For number 1, you should have gotten 82. And for number 2, you should have gotten 19. If you have any questions, please go ahead and stop the video, ask me. That way I can cover anything that you might have been confused on, and then you're ready to go on.